Time for what?
Time for what?
Experience in college.
Time for reinforcement.
Time for liftoff!
Where nothing is impossible unless you think it is impossible.
College.
I have my college scholarship.
Yes. Boom.
College ran by real fast.
You hung in with the best college.
First time for everything.
Well, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Let's do this thing.
Genius, let's do this thing!
AMV back again here, coming from a field trip from UC Davis, located in Davis, California, Northern California, one of the 9 undergraduate UC systems, and also Cal Maritime in Vallejo, California, one of the 23 Cal State campuses. Today we have some of our actually attendees to these field trips, and we thought today, since you may be a student who's never been on a college trip, thinking about it, what are some of the tips that they have to give to you from a student point of view? So take a moment, pull up the volume, and let's go in and listen. So you just visited a couple of campuses today. What I want to do is, not everyone goes on a field trip all the time, right? There's a day off, I want to sleep. So what motivated you to come here today?
I really wanted to visit the campuses, and I wanted to learn more about the colleges and how I can apply and the different opportunities they offer. And I wanted to see the different lifestyles that students and teachers live in these campuses. And I wanted to learn about the different majors and the different opportunities that they have at the different schools.
Awesome. Now, a lot of times students will think like, oh, I could go see YouTube, I could see you visit, there's all these different websites, check images and see what it's like, or talk if they have an older sibling maybe or older friend who's been there, get their point of view. Do you think that's the same? And if not, why not?
I don't think it's the same because it's nothing like, it's not the same as being there personally to like experience like the environment. Like someone else's experience could be different from yours. So you're like, let's say your sibling went to the college, their experience could be different because the personality is different from yours, whereas your experience can be either more enjoyable or like less enjoyable for you. So you can't really like go based off what someone else tells you or what you see.
So one of the things as I was mentioned to our St. Ignatius students was we got a lot of people coming back to us saying they asked a lot of questions, there was a lot of information out there. Why is asking questions important for the student, for other audience members, and also even for the admission officer?
I think that asking questions about the specific school and the surrounding community is important because it's important to get to know the surroundings that you will be exposed to when you're at the school and how you really vibe with the school, how you interact with the people that work in admissions, and how they interpret the questions that you're asking as a prospective student. And I think it's really important to take into perspective the ways that physically and like verbally, face-to-face, talking to a person that works at the school or asking questions, you're going to receive a different understanding of how the school works or how the campus works or how the classes flow, and that you might not get from just looking at the website or looking at a piece of paper.
You've been to a few college visits, from privates, UCs, CSUs, the large, the medium, and the small. If there's somebody's like thinking about visiting a school, what preparation do you think they need as a must and then a maybe to help them to make that experience everything for them as much as they can get out of it?
I think that they should go online, like find the colleges online and then see what like they have on their campuses, and then see if they have any questions, so that when they're actually there on campus, they like have an idea of where to go and where everything is, and also have questions in mind that they might want to like ask the administration. Yeah, just like have an overall sense by asking questions and going online.
And do you think it would be good, and this is just for any room for anyone to chime in at any point, like for them to write it out? I think a lot of times people think like, oh, I'll know the question on my head, but it's like sometimes when you're there, you're like, oh my God, I'm rushing because I have to find parking, or oh my God, I really had to go to the restroom, and I forgot like what I had to do. What are some other tips or words of wisdom do you have for our listeners out there?
I think you should definitely take notes, because you won't remember everything like that was said. So going back and
and having something to look at is really important.
I think that when they give you like information and pamphlets, I think that it's not only important to keep those, but to like also to take notes and to highlight specific things that you know that you would want to remember that are specific to you about either questions that you asked or questions that a different person asked that also can pertain to how you would go about filling out the application and applying to the school.
I think that it's also very important to make sure that you prepare for these visits by researching and by having questions prepared to when you get to those colleges or schools to know what you're looking for and to know what you're asking, and when informed to write down this information, to come back to it and to reflect on it in order to know if that's your interest or not.
I think that it is important to write questions down or to take notes, because if you have like she said, it's like if something's like personal to you, it's like, for example, an affinity group on campus, if that's important to you, it might not be important as like something as important to someone else as it is to you. So that's a personal question that you have, and I feel like it's important to make sure that your interests find those things on campus, and I feel it's important to make sure and ask questions about something that you can identify with in that college.
So now we have another student here who's going to speak with us, because how many colleges, if you had to guess, you visited so far?
I'd say over 10.
Right? So both big, small, private, heck hard to get into, maybe not so hard to get into.
Yeah. I think when you visit colleges, I mean, it's not a priority to figure out how hard it is to get in, but do you really see yourself fitting in, or also what works and what doesn't work? So you don't only apply that to those schools, but you can apply those feelings or that intuition that you get for other universities as well.
Yeah, and we just had some comments where people say, take notes, take information, which you've done, but I think a lot of times it falls short where people are like, okay, I got the vibe of the campus, I like this, I don't, and they stop there. But I think your experience is you taking it to the next step. Can you tell our listeners what are those next steps a student should do after visiting campus, especially if it's one like, I think I'm going to apply to that campus?
Yeah, I think the next steps would be just trying to figure out what you would do once you get there. In terms of, what do you see yourself doing at that campus? Is it going to be more of a STEM-based career, or do you want to do something more liberal arts focused? So I think it's important to see, okay, you can see yourself there, but what are you going to do once you're there? And I think you can get that done by, doing the research of the majors, the students that go there, what their life or what their careers are like after when they're done college, and then also, emailing reps, seeing what is the best habits or skills or traits that people carry that normally get into the school, and also just figuring out, trying to remember what about that school worked for you or works for you.
Yeah, so it's basically strengthening that connection besides that visit, right? So, lots of people don't realize, especially for private schools, there is that one rep who's going to read your application and try to advocate for you. Can you talk about how did you follow up with those college reps, especially when they visited your campus?
So what I did was I emailed them saying, I visited your campus. It was amazing, and I could really see myself attending this school. And I have an interest in my case, engineering, or a new interest would be theater. And so in that case, it'd be like, okay, well, I'm interested in those things. Is there any way that we can follow up or have a discussion when you come and visit the school? And if so, can we talk about the logistics of what would be the best way that I can shape myself to be able to create a better opportunity for me to get into the school?
When we go on these trips, a lot of times I tell you guys move onward and upward, right? And all the feedback I get from all you guys is go to that next step, whether it be saying thank you to that campus tour guide, which they get feedback of schools and individuals, right? And then also you talked about looking at other information about alumni, like using LinkedIn, those other services online, looking at the website, and then keep on doing that research. Don't be afraid of asking that question for information. Any last words of wisdom? Because earlier people talked about, writing notes because they may write that college essay, why this campus. Any last things, especially since you are a junior, rising senior?
I think it's important to pace yourself, because I remember when I first started this whole, college hunt, I was very energetic about it, and then, life has its mishaps, and you get banged around a little bit too much, and now you're all tired and you don't want to do anything. And so I think it's just important to pace yourself, set reasonable goals, and just to be able to hold yourself accountable for them, and just to know that everyone has an opportunity, and the only thing that's holding you back is yourself at that point. So I think it's important for you to realize that only people can do so much to help you out, but realistically, you are the one creating the opportunities for yourself.
Can't say any better than that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to SI Counseling Podcast, where we help our students strive to respond courageously to the opportunities and challenges of our time.